Hi everyone, welcome back. It may be an international break, but the Premier League is now in full swing, and it looks like one of the most open seasons in years. Goals galore, strange results, and tons of storylines. But as yet, not one top flight club has changed manager. How long will that last? As always, I'll be answering questions from our Athletic subscribers, this week focusing on exactly that and more. You can currently subscribe to The Athletic for just £1 or $1 per week by going to theathletic.com/Ask Ornstein. On the show, where will Mauricio Pochettino end up? Why Jack Grealish didn't move in the summer? Arsenal's plans for January? And Dean Henderson's immediate future. Okay, let's kick off with a question from Abdulaziz, who asks, so many rumours lately suggesting that Mauricio Pochettino is on the verge of taking a new job, especially Manchester United. What do you think about that? Well, first and foremost, Abdulaziz, I don't think Pochettino is on the verge of taking a new job at the moment. As for United, publicly and more interestingly privately, from what I hear, they completely support Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and are giving him their full backing, have no plans, as things stand, to make a change. But we know how quickly things do change in football. There have been reports that United have made contact with Pochettino. I'm not questioning those reports, but personally I don't have that information. What we do know is that Pochettino is available. He has recently conducted a very high-profile television interview, which I'm assured was more of a long-standing commitment than a come-and-get-me plea, or putting himself in the shop window to say I'm ready and raring to go. Suitors, the likes of Manchester United, will already know that and know what he brings as a manager, man manager, person, coach, etc. But the timing was interesting. What I do hear is that Pochettino is waiting, watching very closely, in particular United, Manchester City, perhaps Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea and others, to see what's going to happen there. The real issue is that there are no vacancies at the moment, which is something of a surprise because in the build-up to the summer of 2020, there was expected to be a lot of change in the managerial market, but the coronavirus pandemic changed everything. And for many, the idea of sacking a manager and paying compensation was not something they could afford to do. Perhaps that doesn't affect clubs right at the top end, but it was a worry for many. We've talked about United. The situation with Manchester City is that Pep Guardiola is there until at least next summer. City have been public in saying that they want to extend with him. Paris Saint-Germain could have a change with Thomas Tuchel and Pochettino, formerly a player there. Chelsea, things seem pretty stable at the moment with Frank Lampard. He's been backed in the transfer market. Things look to be going quite well and they're embarking upon quite a long-term project there. Barcelona, a bit of instability with a change at board level of president, and we know that when a new president comes in they often have their own manager in mind. I've heard that some of the candidates do have Mauricio Pochettino on their list, but I'm not sure he's at the top. It would be quite an interesting dynamic with his fellow Argentine Lionel Messi, who's also out of contract next summer. Real Madrid, it seems pretty stable at the moment for a change with Zinedine Zidane in his second spell there. One potential concern raised at Bayern Munich when they sacked Niko Kovac and considered Pochettino was the size of his backroom team and also the fact that they are mainly Spanish speaking. They ended up going for a German speaker in Hansi Flick. I don't think that would be such a worry for some of the clubs we've mentioned so far. For now, as far as we know, Pochettino is still being paid by Tottenham. He was under contract there until 2023. Until the end of last season, a club taking him would have had to pay significant compensation to Spurs for his services, but that clause has now expired. So it would be a relatively simple deal to do. It's just about when and where. It doesn't seem like Mauricio Pochettino is in a rush, but he is ready. Next up, Anthony. Why didn't anyone sign Jack Grealish in the summer? He's clearly incredible. And why doesn't Gareth Southgate see it? Yeah, Grealish is a fascinating talking point, Anthony. And I think many of us would have anticipated him being subject to a really high-profile move in the transfer window. I think you need to consider the impact that COVID had on the market. It meant that few, if any, clubs were willing to meet Aston Villa's asking price for Grealish. Villa didn't need or want to sell. They've got very wealthy owners and he's their captain. I also think some of those clubs still had reservations about that level of spending on this particular player and also whether he's the real deal, which it's starting to look like he is. I think Villa would have been sympathetic to the situation if a suitable offer had arrived, and I think Grealish would have looked to explore it. Had a Champions League club come in, had they put their money where their mouth is, and had they shown him that he was their number one target. That didn't happen. Manchester United were heavily linked. They prioritised Jadon Sancho, but they didn't even get him. Manchester City, I'm told, really admire Jack Grealish, but he wasn't on their agenda in this particular summer, and I'm not sure about any others. Interestingly, there was a friendly between Aston Villa and Man United at Villa Park ahead of the new season starting, and I think in a humorous way, a number of the Man United players were saying to Jack Grealish, "When are you joining us?" Now, there was nothing sort of from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer towards Grealish, but I think by that point it was pretty clear to Grealish that it wasn't going to happen. He wanted his future settled ahead of the season starting. And he indicated at that point that he wanted to sign a new contract. So all parties came together very quickly. And in the early hours of Tuesday, the 15th of September, I think it was, that new contract was signed. We don't know if there's a release clause. We'll have to wait and see. Also, we don't know if there's any kind of agreement around whether a certain level of club comes in for him, a certain level of payment, and that could seal his move away. What we do know is that he appears completely committed and happy at Aston Villa. As for England, well, we know Gareth Southgate really prioritises the player pathway that England and the FA have, and he's shown that with a number of players that he's placed trust in. Jack Grealish didn't come through that. He was with the Republic of Ireland, he switched allegiance, and he maybe needed to prove a little bit more than some other players. We also know that Southgate is really hot on discipline and behaviour. There have been a number of incidents involving Jack Grealish and other players, and we've seen how Southgate has reacted. So perhaps he's had to wait a little bit longer than others, but he has got his opportunity of late. It's still early days. Clearly he still needs to prove a lot. He might have to prove, whether it's right or wrong, more than some other players, but he's doing a fairly good job of it from what I can see. A question from Jack. This coming January window, do you see Arsenal making any move for an attacking midfielder and any potential departures from the current squad? The truth is, Jack, I'm not sure about an attacking midfielder coming into Arsenal in the January window. What I am hearing is that Arsenal are already well ahead in their planning for the window of summer 2021, and talks are taking place about potential recruits. That summer, of course, is when the likes of Mesut Ozil, Sokratis, Mustafi, David Luiz are out of contract. And the sense I get is that they would be looking, understandably, to bring in a creative attacking midfielder in that sort of number 10 role, but perhaps who could operate towards the right as well, because they're fairly well stocked on the left. And of course, they pursued the signing in the summer of Houssem Aouar of Lyon. So I don't imagine that interest would necessarily go away. There have also been plenty of links with the young Salzburg player, but I don't have any information on that. The other position I've heard a little bit about is the right-sided central defender. If Luiz and the other players mentioned were to go, then there could perhaps be a bit of a shortage there. Whether any of these plans can be escalated to January, I just don't know, and it might depend on potential exits. Now, we know that a number of players could be available for loan, the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, William Saliba. They could also try again, Arsenal, to move on Mesut Ozil, Sokratis, but we've got no indication that that would be likely. We've got every indication that they'll be staying until the end of their contracts and leaving as free agents. Somebody else in the comments section asked me about Alexander Lacazette. As I've reported previously, Arsenal did receive a substantial offer towards the end of the transfer window just gone from Roma for Lacazette. It fell below their valuation for him, and so he stayed put. I don't know, but I can't imagine that situation will develop again in January, and I think Arsenal's priority will be for him to get back into top form and helping the team in a way that he's done before. Last but not least, Harrison. Is Dean Henderson likely to look for a loan move, given that Gareth Southgate feels he's not getting enough game time to challenge for England's number one? It's a very good point, Harrison, and as far as I'm aware, there's been no conversation yet about a possible loan move for Dean Henderson in January. I think it's still probably a little bit early for that. He has played 3 games so far. One of them was in the Champions League, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer clearly rates him very highly. He likes the competition he provides for David De Gea. De Gea's level has risen since Henderson came back from loan at Sheffield United. I think Solskjaer wants 2 top quality goalkeepers to vie for that position. Obviously Sergio Romero is out the picture at the moment, and with it being a shortened and really congested season, you would like to think that Henderson will get plenty of games. If he doesn't between now and January, then maybe there is a conversation to be had, but it hasn't happened yet and no decision has been made. Hi everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to get the latest from this show, Ask Ornstein, as well as other videos and podcasts from Tifo and The Athletic. Make sure you check out the Ornstein and Chapman podcast too, free to listen wherever you get your podcasts and ad-free when you subscribe to The Athletic.